Battery Park is a 25-acre public park at the southern tip of Manhattan Island, facing New York Harbor. It was named for the artillery batteries that were positioned there in the 1800s to protect the small settlement that would eventually become New York. Due to its key location in New York, underneath the surface of the park lies the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, the Battery Park underpass carrying traffic from West Street to the FDR Drive, and the South Ferry subway complex. This interesting sculpture is Fritz Koenig's The Sphere, which used to stand at the center of the World Trade Center Plaza before it was destroyed in the September 11, 2001 terrorist attack. It was moved here to mark the surrounding Hope Garden, a memorial dedicated to AIDS victims. We start our journey to Liberty Island and Ellis Island at the ticket office located inside the historic Castle Clinton at Battery Park. Located at the southern tip of Manhattan Island, Castle Clinton is where New York City began back in 1812. Originally intended as a fortification to prevent a British invasion, the castle has transformed over the years into a welcoming entry point into the city for millions of immigrants and tourists. A small museum inside the castle shows you how this part of New York has changed over the years. It's time to board the ferry for Liberty Island. The only way to get to Liberty Island is on the ferry. The short ride takes less than 20 minutes. The original name of this copper icon of the United States was the Statue of Liberty Enlightening the World. It was a gift from France, created by French sculptor Auguste Bartholdi, and was dedicated on October 26, 1886. It was designated a national monument in 1924. Lady Liberty was modeled after Bartholdi's mother, Marie, and is 305 feet and 1 inch tall, the equivalent of a 22-story building, and was the tallest structure in New York back in 1886. The original torch was removed in 1984, and entry to it was closed to the public in 1916 after the Black Tom explosion. The current torch was added in 1986 and is crafted from copper covered in 24-karat gold to reflect the sun in daylight and the floodlights at night. The torch represents enlightenment of the world. The tablet in Lady Liberty's left hand has the date of American independence, July 4, 1776, inscribed in Roman numerals. The spikes on the crown represent rays of light marking the 7 seas and continents of the world. The stone pedestal on which Lady Liberty stands was designed by architect Richard Morris Hunt in 1884. It's roughly half the height of the entire monument. The Liberty Island Museum is located inside the lobby of the pedestal and chronicles the progress toward building this monument of freedom. And look, it has the Statue of Liberty on it.
Oh, yeah. So pretty.
The foundation of Lady Liberty was laid inside Fort Wood, a disused army base on the island that was constructed between 1807 and 1811. Since 1823, it had rarely been used, though during the Civil War it had served as a recruiting station. The structure of the fort was designed in the shape of an 11-point star, giving the pedestal that unique shape we all know today. The pedestal offers panoramic views of Ellis Island, New York, New Jersey, and the harbor. The statue's original torch is on display in the lobby.
Wow, those are big bolts. Holy smokes.
In order to gain access to the crown, we must first walk up a winding 154-step narrow staircase. Supporting the statue and the crown is an elaborate framework designed by Alexander Gustav Eiffel of Eiffel Tower fame. Eiffel's skeleton of girders and trusses connected to the statue's copper skin with flat metal bars provide a flexible support system that allows the statue to withstand winds from the Hudson River and temperature changes. From the Crown, we can see views of Brooklyn and the harbor. After our tour of Liberty Island, it's time to board the ferry again to Ellis Island, less than a mile north. Opened in 1892, Ellis Island has seen over 12 million immigrants to the United States until its closure in 1954, making it the busiest port of entry in the country at that time. The island was named after the last private owner of the island, Samuel Ellis. Ellis Island's south side contains 25 buildings that are mostly unrestored. These structures included general hospitals, isolation and psychiatric wards for immigrants needing treatment or isolation. The Great Hall once hosted lines of immigrants awaiting processing and entry to the U.S. In 1986, this grand historic building was carefully restored to look as it once did a century ago. In September 1990, it was opened as a museum to the public. The Great Hall was a former federal immigration processing station that was active between 1892 and 1954. Before it was open for immigration processing, Castle Clinton in Battery Park served as the processing station from 1855 to 1890. The museum exhibits on the 3 floors of the Great Hall chronicle Ellis Island's role in immigration history across 4 centuries. The exhibits also give voices to the immigrants themselves. Each of their stories is unique and bears witness to the courage and determination that enabled them to leave their homes and seek new opportunities in a distant land.
What do you hear? Banjo.
The American Immigrant Wall of Honor on the grounds outside the Great Hall is inscribed with over 700,000 names of immigrants to this country. The wall represents names from virtually every nationality and from every inhabited continent on the face of the earth. Those who endured forced migration from slavery are also included, as well as our own earliest settlers, the Native American. The famous are also present on this wall, including Colonel John Washington, great-grandfather of George Washington, Miles Standish, who landed at Plymouth Rock on the Mayflower in 1620, Al Jolson, Rudolph Valentino, Harry Houdini, and many more. During excavation work for the Wall of Honor, the foundation stones for Fort Gibson were unearthed. Before 1892 and the expansion of the island, the much smaller original island was the site of this fortification, named after a brave officer killed during the War of 1812. At the end of that war, Fort Gibson was built here and remained a military post for nearly 80 years before the island was selected to be a federal immigration station.